Yo guys, PhaseShifter here and welcome to another video. So news has just broke that console players now have a new patch for Lords of the Fallen. It's 1.1.222 and it mirrors very closely what us PC players got yesterday evening, which is absolutely great news for console players. I'm sure they're going to be very happy about this. I'll break down some of the key headlines. The patch notes are longer for console, which I guess is a good thing, of course. And I'm going to make sure that I kind of cover the key headlines. I'll go over the main bits of the patch in a moment, and then I'll give you some of the headlines of the patch. I will also put the patch link in the description of this video. If you would rather just jump straight to that, then that's fine. So, greetings lamp bearers. We come bearing a rather large patch for consoles. One which addresses stability and performance issues, as well as gameplay changes from your feedback and suggestions. One hefty change being implemented is the introduction of crossplay between consoles, allowing Xbox players to join PlayStation players within Mornstead. We will have more information to follow regarding the reintroduction of crossplay between consoles and PC, but our plan is to re-enable this on Thursday. More on this below. So really exciting stuff there for crossplay. Excellent that we're going to have the opportunity to play as a big community. I think that's so important, whether it be if you've got friends who just strictly play console or PC, or just because you like multiplayer games. I think that's a really positive change for the game and the community as a whole. So, straight in with Vestiges in NG+. We hear you and have decided to roll out some fundamental changes to ensure everyone continues to enjoy the NG+ experience, including both those who have relished the No Vestige challenge and those who would rather they were still present throughout the world. From today's patch onwards, so that's in now, when you complete your initial playthrough, you will be presented with a new option before embarking on your next playthrough. You can either progress directly to the next consecutive NG, i.e. if you've just completed NG+1, you would move to NG+2, or you can replay the current NG at the same difficulty, albeit retaining your character, items, and progression, but resetting the entire world, including NPCs and quest lines. This will allow trophy hunters and completionists to seek out any outstanding tasks without having to contend with increased difficulty, should they choose so. A further patch is coming this Thursday, and we'll see further updates made in the NG Plus mode. Instead of removing all vestiges, as it does currently, NG Plus 1 will only see a few disappear while keeping the key locations intact. In NG Plus 2, a few more will disappear, and then in NG Plus 3, all but the main hub, Skyrest Bridge, and Adir's Shrine vestige will disappear. This way, our initial vision remains intact, but is more of a gradual adaptation, awaiting those who seek increased levels of challenge. This is an interesting talking point, and I'll be interested to hear what you think in the comments about this. I know there's a bit of a divide in the community about how NG works. I feel like this is a step in the right direction. I think it's great that we've got multiple options of how NG can work. However, I do know that a lot of people are feeling quite frustrated and put out by the fact that if you complete a playthrough, you can't just take your gear and progress to the next step of NG with everything that you've got. And I kind of get that. I think the mindset I'm coming at this from is that I want there to be as many options as possible so every type of player can enjoy it. Much like in games like Path of Exile, they have solo self-found and things like that. It's just great to give people options. That's always a good thing. So them talking about their vision does kind of clash with maybe what certain people in the community are thinking. I know that I've had people in my comments on the previous patch video that I put out earlier today saying that they think that this is not a win and actually they're being screwed over, for want of a better phrase, by the devs. So I'm interested to hear what you think, folks. Please sound off in the comments below. So, lastly, as a follow-up to the popular announcement made in last week's stream, we can confirm that we have started designing the NG Plus modifier system, allowing players to fully customize their NG Plus experience, whether that's retaining all vestiges, keeping just a few, or removing them completely. It will also include other fun modifiers like a hardcore mode, so one death equal permadeath, absolute psychos, item randomizers and enemy randomizers. This feature set is yet to be fully defined, but our current intention is to release the modifier system before the end of the year. This is the thing that has me the most excited and why I would describe this as a huge win, this patch. I think that is such a great feature to add, and usually it's modders that do this type of work for us, and I just think it's brilliant that the devs have gone, hang on a minute, why don't we just give them what they're going to want ultimately anyway? And, you know, this opens up so many doors for people who love playing the game, but also opens so many doors for content creators to create really interesting content and ideas. I will certainly be exploring these. I just think it gives everybody so much potential to get as much enjoyment and leg room and leg space out of the game, for want of a better phrase. Great news there. Enemy density. Today, as a means of helping with enemy density, we're improving our leashing system, further limiting how far enemies will pursue players from their spawn point. This helps prevent large crowds of enemies from relentlessly pursuing the player when rushing through a level. We aim to have further refinements in Thursday's patch, including reducing the number of enemies present in areas when players are most struggling. These enemies will be removed in your initial playthrough, but will remain in NG+, in keeping with the most challenging experience players seek. So those of you that are still working through the game without NG+, you're probably going to have a bit of an easier time, I guess. That's what that says to me. Additionally, we're going to tweak some crowd behaviors so enemies will not swarm players as often. Multiple enemies will no longer land hits at the same time, while enemies will also be a little less aggressive when swarming the players in greater numbers. I said this in my previous video. I'm not sure how I feel about this change, because I've sort of the opinion that when I'm playing games like this, I like to have a lot of enemies because that just allows me to have quite a high bar when I'm trying to tune a build to make it clear as much as possible. I like to clear screens. I like that challenge. I like being able to herd mobs together and dump loads of damage into them. But I'm only one person, so again, sound off in the comments below and let me know what you think on that change as well, folks. Crossplay, as we explained in the Q&A stream, we're targeting to deploy this as soon as possible for all platforms, but we want to ensure certain GPU stability levels for PC players before this happens. We're pleased to confirm we are activating crossplay on consoles this coming Monday, with a plan to activate it on all platforms this coming Thursday. So that's very exciting. Awesome. Brilliant. Now, this is the juicy bit, probably the bit that everybody has come to this video for, because I am going to make sure that it is very console-centric. Xbox Series X and S and PS5 players, here are some of the changes. I am not going to go over all of them because I'll just scan down quickly now, look at all them. There's absolutely loads, and I don't think you want to hear me droning on for too much longer. But what I will do is jump around a little bit and point at certain areas, and I will put a link in the description so you can have a look yourself here, okay? So, mob density, they've activated a leashing system in which enemies will stop following you after X meters in a case-by-case scenario, not entirely sure what that means, to avoid crowds of enemies on you if you happen to rush through a section of the map. I guess that's just linking back to the enemy density thing there. NG Plus option, we've spoken about this, so that's another key headline. Crossplay has been enabled between consoles, and you'll join PC players once that's stabilized. Brilliant. 3D photo mode's been thrown in to do with kind of changing the angles, things not working well there. Fixed door state's been sorted out. And then this bit here, I'm not going to go over it all, but AI, artificial intelligence, we've got removal of T-posing mobs. Trappers' traps can now be destroyed with ranged options. And then there is a lot here about nav meshes, about ranged enemies, and a lot of kind of references to bosses and things like that, which I don't want to go into because I don't want to spoiler anyone. If you want to have a look in more detail, it's all there in the description below. They've made some audio changes. They've added a slightly sexier sound, apparently, when pressing continue at the main menu, and there's now an exclusive song that plays in the collector's edition section. They've added some balancing, so Flame Funnel from the Remembrance store has had its price adjusted. There is also Bible items and shrines missing skip inventory ball being set to true. Interesting. Adjusting social shrine goals based on progression and forecast. A temporary change at the Umbral Shrine to sell 999 scourings instead of 1 while we wait for proper infinite implementation. So a nice little quality of life thing there. Balancing pass on NG Plus for bosses and regions, almost endgame. So they're saying the curve was too steep. Interesting. So that is a good one. Or, well, a good one in some people's eyes, maybe not the Souls-like purists. I think they've dropped the difficulty. That's how I'm reading that one. So that's interesting. Mole, who decided to lower the price of seeds in his store. That's helpful. 2,500 vigor down to 1,200. Parry guard protection has been increased to 80% as announced in today's stream with Fighting Cowboy. It also avoids receiving any elemental damage or ailment. Interesting. So that's going to be quite a buff. That's how I'm interpreting it. The amount of poise damage inflicted by enhanced throwables has been reduced. I think that needed to be done because people were leaning into that quite heavily, weren't they? Boss mechanics, I don't want to spoiler people, so I'm gonna skip by those. Lots of collisions. So there's a lot of clipping and collisions and things like that. I'm not going to go over them. Again, have a look. The notes are in the bottom. Customization. They've changed the visuals there. Gameplay here. Fixed soul flare attack to prevent falling from ledge when taking a step back or just after it. Fixed wrong orientation of the player when interacting with NPCs and trying to move around. I won't go through all these, but these are all sort of your moment-to-moment things which all look like sort of quality of life things or things that weren't working correctly. Again, level design. I don't want to spoiler people, so I'm going to skip by that. Multiplayer, this will be of interest. Revised multiplayer timings and pings to prioritize good connection between players instead of connecting fast with higher pings. That's really helpful. Deactivating the Orient Protector feature so we can bring back with some more interesting loop in it. Orient Protector was entering a player being invaded to help out on a fight, was confusing to players and reported as a bug. So we're redesigning it. Okay. Fixed an issue where the audio from the host could sometimes not be heard by the client when in spectator mode after dying. Fixed an issue when the client would lose the ability to move under certain conditions. We've detected an issue in which clients leveling up Vestiges could lose their progress after certain conditions. Sparky got some additional lines of dialogue. Lovely. There's a lot of optimizations here. I'm not going to go through them. And then here we go. Performance. Adjusted soulflare textures and materials to be more easily handled by GPU. Reworked some UI elements to free some memory. Reduced environment interactions, memory allocation to free memory. Anchor images are now loaded when interacting with Vestiges. Fixed several textures used everywhere to reduce video memory. Obviously, going to be pushing things in the direction that we want. Stability and performance are absolutely key to enjoying the game. There's an absolute bundle of stability changes here and fixes. A lot of mentions of crashes, lots of C++, and generally it just looks like a lot of crash fixes and a lot of issue fixes related to GPUs and D3D and whatnot. So hopefully that's going to help out a lot of people, because I know that's been the main gripe from the community at the moment. Some UI modifications, some VFX and some visuals, and then we have some specifics here for Xbox Series X. Optimization, multiple performance improvements on the Xbox X and the Xbox S. UI, they fixed the boss's health bar being better centered on the screen. And then we have the same here for PS5, multiple performance improvements, which is fantastic. And we've also got fixed a nanite mesh on the 3D gallery background that had a glowing light. So quite a lot to take in there, folks. And I apologize, the videos run for a little bit longer than I thought, but I did think it'd be really helpful just to get this out there so you can digest that and hopefully be really enthused and pleased if you're a console player and see how well the devs are doing with supporting this game. So as always, please smash that like button. Any comments, sound off below. That'll be really helpful. Let me know how you're feeling about this patch. Are there any things that have annoyed you? Any things that you're happy about? And I will see you in the next one, guys. Take care.